Welcome, everyone, to Just a Dude podcast, where we dive deep into the lives, stories, and passions of everyday people like you and me. I'm your host, Nathan, or you could call me Just a Dude. Today, we've got a show that's all about transformation, dedication, and the pursuit of health. So grab your favorite workout gear because we're about to get inspired. Let's get into it. Today, we're incredibly excited to have with us someone who's not just a personal trainer, but a community leader, a family man, and a true embodiment of what it means to live a fit and fulfilled life. Hailing from the serene suburb of Nashville, Tennessee, he's known in Brentwood as the Mayor of Fitness. He's a three-time best-selling author, has trained NFL Hall of Famers and PGA pros, and has been recognized as one of Nashville's top personal trainers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the founder of Premier Performance Training, Aaron Hines. Aaron, welcome to the show. You want to let the audience know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I've been personal training or slash fitness coaching for, I would say, 15 years. That's kind of why I started back in 2010 in grad school. How I got there. I've kind of been all over the map as far as health and fitness and what I've done, but I started out as a small college athlete and then decided that I wasn't going pro. So I decided just to transfer and finish out college at University of Tennessee at Martin. I came home and thought I was going to conquer the world with an undergraduate degree. And just so happened that it was kind of in the housing crisis of 2009.
I remember
A lot,
that. I
yeah,
remember that
yeah.
crisis quite a bit.
A lot of things happened. So I wasn't really as prepared as I thought I was. So I ventured on to grad school after working for my now father-in-law for about a year and a half. So ended up down in Tallahassee at Florida State for grad school. I've got my master's in exercise physiology. And then my wife and I moved back to Nashville, where we're kind of located now on the west side of town in a town called Bellevue. And from there, it was back at my father-in-law's grocery store, of all things, working and just trying to get back on my feet here. And then ended up down at the downtown Nashville YMCA selling gym memberships and trying to just get my feet wet on the kind of health and fitness side of that. And I thought that was maybe the easiest way to do that. And then kind of worked my way up selling memberships and then training a little bit, doing some boot camps and things of that sort. Did a little bit of that, but also ended up working kind of my double duty here. I worked at the Y in the mornings, and then I worked at a company called Healthways. It's now, I think, was bought out by a company called ShareCare, and I was a corporate wellness coach. So I worked with Fortune 500 companies and their employees, try to more like help behavior change and trying to get them established to find a few things they can work on and get healthy, basically to get a little bit more insurance incentivized or
Yeah.
incentives for that. So maybe it's a healthcare reduction, maybe it's a $500 gift card, or maybe you get a little bit deductible on your health insurance for the year for that. So I did that for 3 years. It was fun. I coached individuals, but also participated on on-site wellness and fitness classes and also taught some of those as well. But I'm a guy who doesn't like to sit still very long. I get bored very easily. So I left there and ended up training at a facility in town. Coming from like the undergraduate, graduate world, I still really thought I knew everything until I landed at this facility. I was doing pre and post op training for physical therapy patients.
Nice.
So coming off injuries or different ailments and injuries that they might have had from surgeries to whatever it may be. And that's where I really kind of learned a lot from a lot of the physical therapists there, but also just dealing with a lot of different variation of clientele from, average Joes to really high end athletes to just geriatric patients and people who just really needed my help as far as balance and strength and just getting over some of those things that they were dealing with for that. So I did that for it seems like 3 years, which seems like my stint anywhere else. And then I was let go by that place. And then what happens when you get let go? You try to figure out what's next. I
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what I was kind of had all the anger and rage of, why me? Why did I get let go for that? But, it took me some time to really consider like, all right, this is what I really want to do. So since 2010, I always wanted to own my own gym. Didn't know what that was going to entail. So this was a kind of a mini starting point for that. I took some clients came with me and I started training at a local apartment complex. I had access to it, but really wasn't insured. So it was kind of legal slash illegal, but that's where I got started training a couple clients there. And then it kind of grew to like one, two. And then I found a spot in town where I could, rent some space and maybe make it work. I did that for a couple years until I sublet a facility about 5 miles from where I currently am located, subletting a space and kind of build my business from there. And then rent increase kind of went sky high, couldn't afford it, and then had to really, go back to the grind as far as finding a new spot to rent. So about 3 years ago, I signed a 5-year lease in Brentwood, Tennessee, where we specialize working with a 50 and older population, helping them to move better, feel better, lose a little bit of weight, but also live life pain free. That's kind of our goal with those clients. But we also specialize with athletes performance. Like I said, I was a small college athlete. We've helped walk-ons at Division 1 all the way down to Division 3 for that. So from all sports, all shapes, all sizes, we've had really high-end athletes to kind of, I would say, consider myself like an average Joe, but just kids who really wanted to partake and go to college and play that sport and extend their time for that. So that's where we are now. That leads us to just coming up on, it's year 3, just started for that. But in the area, I've been training for 12 years. So my
Yeah.
reputation, I would say, is pretty good. We've got a lot going on, but also that's kind of where we're ended up currently. So
Yeah, that's excellent, Aaron. And, for you being a college athlete, I know you said a regular Joe, but I have to assume, how was that transition from an athlete to a fitness trainer? Was it kind of a natural progression, or was it different for you when going from athlete to trainer, so to speak?
it was pretty easy, but just kind of relating some of those life lessons and things that I learned along the kind of journey as a college athlete. We still, I say we collectively, because I have some of the guys that I've trained up into this time work for me now. So we really try to instill some of those life lessons and, I would say objections maybe from coaches or our peers or whatever it may be, from just not being good enough to how we can actually overcome those things and be better. So as far as that, like some of the more the mental aspect, I really try to get with our athletes, but also the training side of it. I mean, training was not really something I was really good at. I just had to do it because if not, you
Right.
miss practice or workouts, you're going to be what our coach called O dark 30s. And you didn't want to have O dark 30s because you knew you're going to be miserable for at least an hour and a half.
Yes.
So, just what it took to get there and what I had to do and overcome and just be a better athlete. We do to this day, I still have stories I tell my athletes of like, this is what it takes. This is what we're gonna have to do. It's not easy. It's not fun, but if you do what I kind of encourage you to do, things will be easier once you get to college. So that's kind of where it kind of overlap with it. I would say that for as far as like the exercise modalities, I know the exercises, but
Mhm.
some of those things that I don't like to do, I had to do them in college, and we take a little bit of that from where I started, from the things we did with my strength coach, and kind of that kind of helped got the ball rolling as far as what I did with my athletes. So it was translatable, but you kind of take a little bit from here and there and just use it what you want.
Yeah, and then so you kind of brought your own, you're being an athlete yourself. You know what's going to happen, especially I know you said you were with a smaller college, but playing at that level what it's like, and how to help these folks. And I think that's great. And but one of the questions that I have for you, from a college athlete, how did you decide to focus on 50 and older for training?
That's an awesome question because I really put all my eggs in one basket when I started my business, and it was like I'm going to be the sports guy in town. And I was for probably 3 or 4 years until one of my business mentors, his name's Fred Zoller, looked at me and said, "Man, if you really want to make money and be successful long term, you can't train all athletes because your ebbs and flows of business are in season, out of season. You're going to make
Yep.
money, you're going to lose money, you're going to kind of be sitting around until school's out." So that's where we had the change of heart. I would say change of business model, but we really did. It was like mainly all athletes and a little bit of adults, and that's where we flipped it. And it took some getting used to. We really geared towards the 50 and older. That's people my parents' age. Say maybe grandparents. Um, I always get the question, "What do you know? How do you know about training those people when you're not even that old?" Well, that's really like my passion is like helping those people who I would consider, and it's not to be a not for them to be offended, but it's like the people no one really wants to work with because they're kind of in shape. Some of them, they've got they're beaten down and broken down from years of doing yard work and things they used to
Yep.
do back in college and things like that. And that's really where I found the kind of gold mine as far as clients and things like that. They really want somebody that knows the body. They want somebody that's not going to hurt them. They want somebody who's going to push them, encourage them, but also hold them accountable. And so that's where we really establish ourselves as, I would say, the go-to gym for that 50 plus model, or those people.
Yeah, and that's amazing because I'm in my early 40s right now, and I know that each time I work out, it feels harder than the time before. It seems like, as our bodies get older, it's a little bit, we can't, you're not bench pressing, 300 pounds like you were when you're in
Yeah.
your, late teens to early 20s. But I have to imagine that that's something great for people, where I'll be pretty soon in my 50s, because you're right. As we get older, we need someone like you to help us navigate how to properly train and how to properly exercise so that we don't hurt ourselves, because it's so much easier for us to hurt ourselves when we get older, and it seems like it takes 10 times longer to recover too. So that's a great niche that you found there, actually helping people that are, of what we call maybe a more advanced age, not necessarily, but 50 is probably the new
Yeah.
30. But it is great to hear that there's someone out there like you that is going to focus and help people that are a little bit older and do it in a way that they don't get hurt.
Yeah, and I would say they're super fun, man. We have a great time. We have, I would say, we've built kind of a great community as far as like just the age range of, like, we may have 50-year-olds working with 75-year-olds, but we're all in there for one reason, and that's to get healthier and get better and get stronger. And that's just more about longevity more than anything else. It's not about who can bench press the most or squat the most, because like everybody's different. We're all coming in here with
Yep.
different ailments and injuries, or maybe just our bodies aren't functioning 100% like they used to be. So we're trying to find different things they can do to be successful, but also have fun as well. So that's the biggest thing, and what we try to focus on.
Yeah, and the fun part, I gotta say, if you could find a way to make working out fun, that's even better,
Yeah.
because, anytime I've done a training regimen or anything like that, like at some point you're always like, oh, this sucks, if you're just
Yeah.
going through the different exercises. But if you can find a way to make it fun, it actually makes you want to go and, work out and be healthier. So that's pretty cool. I like that, Eric.
Yeah, and it's the fun side of it. I mean, I always like to say, I tell our clients, is like, I don't even like exercise that much. I don't think it's fun. I just know I have to do it. But if you can kind of come up with some little challenges, or just kind of, we've started doing a little bit more kind of like, I would call it partner workouts, where we got two people that can maybe same fitness level working out together, because they're gonna push each other. They're gonna have fun. When you miss, they're gonna text you or call you and see where you are, or the next time you come in, they're gonna check in on you. So that's the biggest thing. It's like the accountability piece,
Yep.
without having to be so in your face as far as about why you missed and why you're not doing this and that. So we really want to encourage people to show up, have fun, and just, you know, do what you can, but also we're going to be there with other people to,
Yeah.
kind of provide that, piece of fun, I guess you'd say. F you.
Yeah, and it is kind of nice that you have, some accountability in there to help people and be, peers, peer accountability and things like that as well. So, like you said, you have 50-year-olds helping out 75-year-olds, and that is amazing, because as we get older, we probably need exercise more is my guess, because we tend to sit around a little bit, more than we used to. But
Yeah.
so the name of your business is Premier Performance Training, correct?
Yes, that's it.
All right. So obviously we talked about individuals over 50, and so are you focusing mainly on overall health, or are you looking, if people are overweight, trying to drop a few pounds on them, is that what you're really looking, just doing a really nice healthy way for people to get to an ideal weight and live a better happier life?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a part of it. The biggest thing we really like get people who are just in pain and discomfort. We may get some coming out of physical therapy who just, I mean, physical therapists can only do so much, right, to get you to a certain point. So sometimes we're the what's next to get stronger, get more mobile, maybe a little bit more flexible for that. Like, I would say weight loss is just a benefit of staying active and being consistent. As long as you're doing at least 90% of it properly and correct, you're showing up, you're getting stronger and things like that. So we're really like, I would say, different in a way to where we're not all doing the same workouts together. Everything is individualized, is personalized to the person who's coming in. We're going to sit down and get to know you a little bit more, really get kind of the ins and outs of what you like, what you don't like. If you've had exercises before that's really kind of mentally screwed you up a little bit, and I say call it PTSD, as far as like things you didn't like or want to do, and then we're gonna mold that programming for you. So a lot of it's just like getting better movement patterns and being more efficient. Because my thought process is, if we're loading dysfunction And I think I got this from my friend Drew Massey. If we load dysfunction with more resistance, we're going to be more dysfunctional. And that just means we're just going to be moving with poor movement patterns, and we're just going to be later down the road. It may not be tomorrow, but maybe a couple weeks, couple months, we're going to have some pains and discomforts we didn't know we're going to get because
Yeah.
of that. So we want to make sure we're moving properly. We're squatting, we're lunging, we're doing push-ups, we're stretching properly. That way we can add the load and we can get stronger for that, because you're coming to us to be better, stronger, more mobile, and we don't want any setbacks for you getting hurt.
Right.
That's the last thing we want, right?
Yeah, because if you're getting hurt when you're training, it's not going to do you any good because now you're down for the count and you're
Yeah,
not doing any training. You're not
yeah,
doing any workouts.
you're definitely done with that. Yeah, so that's more of a setback with it, right?
Yep.
You're coming to us to get better and to progress, as opposed to taking 10 steps backwards.
Yeah, and one of the things I like that you said there is that you tailor the programs to each individual. So even though you might do group trainings, there might be some different variations for some of your folks because you know exactly as I do, and I don't have to tell you this, but for the audience, what works for you may not work for me, and
That
vice
that's
versa.
exactly right. That's exactly right, and that's what we really try to like talk about, because it's like the misconception, or just kind of the overall thing with health and fitness now was like, when you're doing stuff with more than like two people, they think we're all doing the same exact thing, and it's so confusing because when you come into our facility and there's like six people doing six different things, it's like a little overwhelming to new people.
Right.
But we like to take the time and effort and energy to teach you how to do it properly. So hopefully in the next, couple months, maybe longer than that, you're a little bit more independent. So our job is to, one, teach you, tell you how to do it, but we're still going to coach you, but we're also going to be coaching the other people as well through their program. So because I always like to say there's only so many exercises you can actually do, but
Right.
your body type is different than mine. So like I may be real proficient in one thing and you may be more proficient in others than I am, and that's okay. But we're also going to be working out together and doing different things for you. And that's the big goal right there. It's not a one size fits all.
And that's great because we're all individuals, right? They say individual for a reason, meaning that, each one of us has our own little quirks. And, to just throw an exercise program at somebody, then they're probably going to end up hurt, like we talked about just a couple of minutes ago, if you just did the same thing for everybody. So it's great to know that, not only are you customizing the program to the person, but there's the understanding from the people that are in your gym that everybody might be doing things a little bit different, but getting their own outcomes in their own way. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So that's the 50 and over crowd, but you also specialize in training elite athletes, right?
Yep, we do. Yep. That's
Is there specific like sport, or is it really any elite athlete from any sport that you would work with?
Yeah, so we like to go with like honestly, we like to train any sport, but we really do. We don't really specialize in one specific. At one point in time, I was like just did football only because that was what I knew and loved, and
Yep.
I played football. But we really work with all sports. Sport specific training is kind of like a loose term. It used to be like, well, if we're training soccer players and baseball players and hockey players together, then they really need to be doing different things.
Mhm.
Yes and no. I mean, with that, so we've got baseball players, volleyball players, softball, basketball, all training at the same time. Now, with that, we have it kind of set up. We call it like our peak performers program, where we're working with third grade up to seventh grade. And then we like to get I don't say high performers, but it's more of our high school level. It's eighth grade through 12th grade. They're all working out, a little bit more intensity. There's a little bit more faster pace to the workout program, but everything's catered to the athlete. So like I said before, even with the adults, if there's something that the athlete can't do, we're going to go in and make modifications. I mean, we're going to all do the warm up and speed training, plyometrics and things like that together, because our goal is to make sure that each and every athlete is set up for success. They're not getting hurt. They're working on first step explosive power. We're getting vertical jump is getting higher. We're running faster. So that's the goal, but we've got to have everything kind of included. You got the plyometrics, the speed work, you got the mechanics, you got the strength training with that. So it's all encompassing in that one training session per hour. But with that, it's a lot for some athletes. So we like to say we're not for everybody, but we're also, kind of arrogant. But I like to say I'm
Yeah.
bragging a little bit. I'm the best in town, but it's also because our reputation speaks for itself. We've helped probably over 100 athletes go on to the next level and play college sports. And that's nothing like we don't take all the credit for that. I'm not boasting about that. We've just provided the tools necessary through our program to help those athletes. You've got to want it more than I do. I can't get you the scholarship, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, whoever if I'm the athlete, then I have to do the work, right?
Yeah,
I've got to put the
exactly.
work in, and you're just there to help and guide and make sure that you tailor a program to help them, become better with whatever's going on, right? So if they have,
Yeah.
like you said, if it's a high, maybe it's a basketball player who knows they can't jump high enough, so maybe you would probably tailor some things towards them to help increase their vertical jump, right?
Yeah, we're gonna add in some weighted vertical jumps, some maybe tempo squats and things like that. But we're same type thing. We're still working out together. You just may
Yeah,
be on your basketball performance program, and Johnny next to you may be on his baseball performance. It's very similar yet a little bit different
yeah.
for that. So our guarantee now with our sports performance, we've been doing this. We've changed different, I say, models of how we train. It's like our goal overall is to one, get your athlete in 90 days. 90-day period is about 30 workouts 2 days a week to get them to run at least 1 mile per hour faster and jump at least 3 inches higher during that time. And that's our kind of personal guarantee, or we'll train you for free until you do
Wow.
for that. That's kind of how we've kind of put our money where our mouth is with that. So if you don't want to train with us, that's fine. Like I said, we're not for everybody, but we've had great results and we've helped a lot of athletes, and we have a lot of young athletes, and we have some of the top athletes in the area training at our facility.
Yeah, that's awesome, Aaron, because just with, working with all these athletes and doing these different things, getting them to the next level, and then giving a guarantee. I've never heard that before, right? I've never heard it from
Yeah.
anybody I've worked with in fitness. There's never been that, but it's like you're so confident in your abilities and the programs that you create. I think that's amazing. That speaks volumes to you, that you're that confident that you're like, you know what? I'm so confident in my abilities and what I can do for you. As long as obviously they got to do the work, right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah,
if
exactly.
someone comes in and stands in the corner, you're not going to be like, okay, I'm not guaranteeing that.
Yeah, we've got everything that you need to be successful. You've got to come in and give effort, energy, and give me 110%. We've had just we just kind of redid this, and I want to say rebranded the program last summer, and just the results that kids have had since we've done that. I mean, we've got one of the top baseball. He's a freshman, but one of the top baseball players in the area from just the kind of exit velocity and his hitting, and then his pitching has gone up as far as increased miles per hour. We got one of the top volleyball players in the area.
Nice.
So it's one of those things. It's like we like to talk about those things too, but we also want other people to experience that and just actually understand. Like we've I've gone to school for a long time to learn this, and I've got a lot of experience with it. So like we know what we're doing, and we're not a lot of flash and dash. We don't have a lot of, gizmos and gadgets and things like that. We're just kind of an old school training facility that really likes to put in the work, and we were passionate about it. So we've got three former college athletes who train the athletes. Myself being an NAIA football player, we have a Division II former baseball player, and then we have a Division I football player that works with our athletes. So not only are you getting the best training, but you're also getting training from people who've been there, done that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice to get training from someone that's walked the walk and not just talk the talk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they know what's going on. They know what might have worked for them. They could try different things. So, Aaron, what do you have a specific philosophy behind your training methods?
A lot of the stuff, I would say this sounds kind of hokey. I probably take it from a lot of other people in the fitness. I mean, it's if you're not stealing and trying things from other fitness pros and things like that, you're probably just making things up. So a lot of just trial and error, I would say, over the years. I won't say specific names from people, but just a matter of like, you try things for a little bit, and if you get great results, but sometimes when the results start to get stagnant, you've got to change things up a little bit
Yeah.
before that. So that's kind of how we like to evolve with it. We may go for a couple of years of the same programming and things like that, and just for some reason just get stagnant and boring, and you kind of get feedback from the players or even the parents and things like that. So it's just a matter of like, if we can manipulate a few things, maybe it's certain sets and reps and tempos of lifts and things like that, and get better results. That's kind of what we're going to do. We're not going to just stay to a tried and true method just because I've been doing it for 15 years. That's kind of, sometimes that gets you kind of dug in a hole a little bit, where you're like, well, this is the right way to do it. Well, It
Yeah.
might have been years ago, but also it's taken a little, tugging and pulling for me to do it a little bit different too. So it's the same with the athletes, but also the adults too. So
Yeah.
we just like to train hard, lift fast, and not get hurt. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me nowadays is not getting hurt. That's the one thing I don't wanna do. I can hurt myself just from sleeping, so, you know?
True
You
that.
wake up, get that neck going and, but yeah, so it's great. So you've done all this for what you said, 12 years worth of education training, right? Of your background. And it's actually shown because you've gotten some pretty big recognition within the community, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, probably just over the last few years. I think it was, if my memory's clear enough now, it's 2020. I was voted one of the top personal trainers in kind of Nashville surrounding area. I've been kind of the local guy. Next door is kind of an app. Maybe it's a popularity vote, but we've been on the neighborhood's best page a couple years running there. We've gotten a lot of invitation for some local publications, some local magazines, from some of the books I've written and published, to just recently, probably the biggest one is I got invited on one of the local news channels to talk about how we specialize with the 15 older population. Had a pretty cool segment with that. Just trying to educate people on just a few small things they could do to be successful in the aging population. So it's all been good. I don't speak about it a lot because it's kind of, I would say it's old news, but it's good news as well, right? It's great news. And,
It
you
is.
know,
I
look,
mean, it's a testament to the work that you've done because the notes that that I have here, Aaron, is you were named one of Nashville's top personal trainers in 2020. You won the best gym in Brentwood in 2020, 21, and 23. Is that correct?
yeah, through the next door, or through that. It was kind of a surprise. I didn't really know that was a thing, but
Yeah.
I get the notifications. You're like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then obviously you built a community around, your fitness instruction and things like that. So how does community feedback from the people that you work with, how does that help shape your programs?
Man, it's great actually. We like to give kind of, I would say, give and take a little bit from our clientele in the community we've built. It's We like to go, maybe once or twice a month, just to say, hey, how are things going? What would you like to improve? What would you like to see different? And I think that really shapes to more or less of like, I'm the business owner, I'm the guy in charge. Just because I like things doesn't mean our clients like it. So it's just trying to
Right.
really mold things to like what they're liking and what they really enjoy about coming in and being a part of our community. So the feedback is we take some things. We don't do everything, obviously, because that would be a lot
Sure.
on our end. But just giving that, especially from like the workout standpoint, it's like, what do you like? What do you not like? What would you like to change? Have your goals changed? And they may say, no, I'm good, and that's okay. And they may say, yeah, actually, I would like to see this different. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
We change it up because they're paying us for a service, and we want to make them happy. We want to actually get them results as well. We like to stay engaged with the morning crew and the evening crew. We like to kind of, there may be a little overlap because you have an option to either train. You can train in the morning or afternoon. It doesn't matter when you train. You can just pick a time slot that fits best for you. So sometimes it's more about, hey, I know you're not here in the mornings, but this is our crew, and we like to intro everybody. If
Nice.
I don't introduce you in the first session, that's usually my fault. But we've built the community on supporting one another through hard times, through, I would say, family members passing away, to celebrating weddings, to taking shots, or people like to take shots on their birthday to really celebrate that because they may not have a lot of family in town, and we
Hmm.
want to congratulate them. We like to do exciting things as far as like, hey, they might have hit a new personal record, or they've really hit a benchmark as far as their health and fitness goals. So celebrating that in our groups, but also putting it on social media. Too, we've had members become really great friends and travel overseas for 14 days, and we've had introduced other people to business deals. So even take my parents for instance. They One of my clients had a house for sale, and my parents were wanting to move, so I introduced them to my client. And then about a month later, my parents bought their house, and then the rest is history. They've been in the same house for the last 10 years. I've bought vehicles, sold vehicles for my client who has a car dealership. It's just all about, if we can help you and help me. I mean, that's the biggest thing with that, because it's not all about me and making money. It's about making people feel welcome on, coming into a facility where they feel welcome. They can also meet other people and not be a stranger to anybody.
Yeah, that's great because the community impact that you put in there, like you said, the community's coming and supporting you, and then in turn, you're not, even the clients that you work with, you're supporting them as well if they have business ventures, which is fantastic, and that's really I think we need to see more of that in in this country these days.
Yeah,
Because it just
yeah.
seems like everybody's just all over the place. But yeah, it's nice to have nice community interaction and to actually have a community support you and vice versa. You support the community as well.
Yeah, I mean, not only for the adults as well, but even for the athletes. I mean, we support some of the booster clubs. We give back. We donate to the, it could be, I don't say the band club or whatever it is. They have auctions, silent auctions. We donate time, my time, pretty expensive personal training packages. We do gift cards. We do giveaways, books. We donate to, I donate more to schools that my kids don't go to than I actually do to my kids' school. So if that tells you anything, I would say, it's not a lot, but it's probably a couple $1,000s a year that we donate and give back to local schools and things like that, just because those kids that we train support me for that.
Yeah.
It's from the cookie bake sales to the popcorn around the holidays. I always like to say the first kid who comes at me and asks me for donations, I'm probably going to say yes. If you're second in line and you're from the same school, it's probably going to be a no.
Yeah.
So you got to get to me first.
Yep. No, that's awesome though, because you're giving back and you said it's only a few $1,000s a year, but hey, when you're a normal everyday person like you and I, that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's not like, obviously we'd love to give more, but a few $1,000s a year is quite a bit and from where I sit anyway,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it is,
know?
and it is appreciated too. So it's we're going against the large corporations, and when I say what
Yes.
if you can support local, I'll try to support as much as possible. But as soon as you kind of price gouge me, then I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so Aaron, yourself, you're not only are you personal trainer, but you're running the business too, right? So you're the business owner. So how do you balance family life with a demanding career like that?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was I was kind of there every waking minute, every day, every hour. When people said, "Hey, I want to train at 7," I would say yes. And even though I've been there since 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So now we kind of have it or it's scheduled and more modified with that. It took me probably 7 years to hire my first employee because I just wanted to do it all. It's not sustainable.
No,
Before
not
that,
at all. Yeah,
yeah.
I've
So
noticed
having
that myself and some things you got to have some help sometimes.
Yeah, so over the last couple of years, it was kind of like my wife was doing a lot of the kind of grunt work, so she just bluntly said, "I've got to have help. I can't do it all." Balancing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Take my kids to school, drop them off, go to work. Some days I'll pick them up. I'm not there all day every day anymore. I've got trusted employees who I can just say, "Hey, this is the schedule. This is what we're going to do." It wasn't easy doing that. The biggest thing was like just letting go and just knowing that I can't have control all the time, and I've got to trust the people that I've hired to put in place and to do a great job with that. So not only is it more or less of like school stuff, but it's sports stuff. I mean, we were just at flag football before I came on the podcast and being there just for a little bit before I had to break away. I mean, even on the weekends, we got birthday parties and having to travel a little bit for soccer now, and just being available when needed.
Yeah.
I think now it's like clients know and understand, like, I can't be there every day, and they encourage you now to, or me now to just to break away, not be here. Take a break, go home, close up shop, or just find somebody else to help you out
Yeah.
for that because I mean it's a lot. I mean from the I have an admin now. She's great. Her name is Emily, and people love her more than me some days because she's so nice and she helps out with scheduling and all the other things that I used to do. So it's just really like taking a step back and like I am the business owner, but I can't do everything. So it's like you've got to be present with your family, but also spend time with them because life happens pretty fast, and you got to be there for all the little small things because as they get older, it goes even faster with it. So it's just
Oh, yeah.
trying to find the balance of like schedule. Like you can't be there all day. So like, what is my schedule? Some days it's 8 to 3. Some days it's 8 to 6. But there's a fine line of like you can't be there every day. I've learned to say no a lot more. I can't help you out. I'm just not going to do it. It's not because I don't like you. It's just because I'm not going to be here all day. I don't care
Yeah,
if
you
you
got to
pay
have
me.
a work-life balance.
Yeah, you do because burnout's real. I've been, you burn at both ends and you just kind of
Yes.
get irritable and you don't want to be there anymore. So you got to take those breaks. I mean, the family time, I try to schedule at least 4 to 5 weeks off a year. Or if it's kind of, maybe it's not a full week, maybe it's like 4 days or just a
Yeah.
weekend
Like a
for
long
that.
weekend or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
long
just to
week.
spend
Yeah,
time
to
with the
have that.
family and the kids and yeah.
Yeah, just be present because it's you get wrapped up in doing every little thing and you don't want to break away and it's just kind of like it's not fair. It's not fair to your family, even your friends that you don't see too. So
Well, and I mean,
it's just
in reality, it's not fair to you either, to just be doing business all the time. If
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just stuck in your business and working that all the time, then it's probably just going to suck the joy right out of you.
Yeah, it's not gonna be funny. Yeah, exactly right. So it's just like finding the like we alluded to, like finding the help and finding people that you can surround yourself to actually, support you. I've got my spouse, my kids, my family. I've got mentors for business as well. So it's just finding the right time and right place to do the certain things, but also have that downtime too, because you can't be all go all the time, man. It
No.
just it'll get you quick, and you'll be ready to quit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my entire adult life until I was probably, what, 41, I worked at least 2 jobs, you know? I worked a regular day job, and then I work, an extra job. The last job I did was a 911 dispatcher, just part-time on the weekends, and you're right, doing that for years, you just get tired and burned out, and you realize, "What am I doing this for?" You know?
Yeah, well, time goes by, and you're like, you can't get that time back
You
either. So
can't.
it's like,
No, you can replace anything but time, right?
yeah,
You can replace your house, you can replace money, you can replace a job, but you can't replace the time because once it's gone, it's gone. You lose it forever.
yep, exactly right.
So, Aaron, what's your personal fitness and health routine like? For you personally,
Yeah, well, it's kind of changed over the years. Being an athlete, I've had my I call it heavier days. I was an offensive lineman, so I stopped playing, and then I let the buffets and the food lines take control of my health, and I was really heavy, and I've been really light. But since I specialize with orthopedic injuries, I've had a few myself, so just the modifications I have to make. I would say currently now it's a mix of like heavier resistance, a lot of cardio, kind of high intensity interval training, a
hmm
little bit currently. So it's kind of on a little bit of a split as far as what I do, and I'll do that for probably I've been since January. I've changed things up just last week as far as implementing more cardio conditioning as far as what I do. I like to go until my body can tolerate it, or if I can't recover quickly enough, and then trying to change it up a little bit. So it really varies.
yeah,
I'm in a state now where I'm in a little bit of a weight loss challenge with a friend of mine. We've been kind of documenting it a little bit. So as far as like since January, I'm down like 15 pounds. I'm really trying to take
nice.
control of my health, but also, I'm taking care of all these other people through the business and trying to help other clients. And sometimes you just kind of eat whatever you want to just to get
Yep.
by, and you drink whatever, whether it's water, whether it's alcohol, whether it's 600 milligrams of caffeine, and it's just not
Right.
it's not sustainable. So I really kind of dialed it in. This year, I turned 40 next year, and then what I've been told, it just goes downhill after
My
40.
goodness, yeah. You wait till you hit 40. You'll wake up on your 40th birthday and you'll be like, wait, why do I have this pain in my neck? All I
I,
did was sleep last night. No, you know?
yeah, so it's a lot of the strength training, but also the movement stuff. I'd spend probably 10 to 15 minutes stretching before, and you can throw stones at me if you want to. Don't stretch before you work out, but I really find that to be kind of my time where I can check messages and then scroll through social media for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then kind of get locked in and go for my workout. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And it may change a little bit too, but
Right.
I don't have I don't have full range of motion on my left arm, so there's a lot of modifications I have to do because if not, you push it too much, and then I end up in back at the chiropractor more than I want to, or
Right.
back in physical therapies.
Yep.
You can push your limits to a certain extent, and then you have to kind of scale back a little bit depending on how your body reacts and how you recover.
And I know that too, just from myself. I know, I've got limitations. Last year, I ended up rupturing my bicep tendon, and
Man, wow.
yeah, and you never guess, but I did it bowling. So I wish I could say I was lifting a kid off of a car off a kid, but no, it was bowling. But it was amazing. It took me 6 months to recover from that, and I'm
Yeah.
still like my right bicep is about half the size of my left one because of that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because just
That's a
being
tough
down,
injury.
but yeah, but that's great that you have that orthopedic background and stuff to, if people do have joint pain, you really tailor the program, to how to make sure that they don't injure that more. And as someone like me who's got bad knees, I like that idea.
Yeah, it's I will say it's not the flashiest, but it gets the job done. I'll say may not be the coolest gym in town because we're not doing burpees and box jumps, but
Right.
we've got the results to back it up.
Absolutely. And then you know what? That's what matters is the results.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So, Aaron, you've done some writing and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I have. Let's see, I've written 3 books and co-wrote 2, or kind of it was like a joint venture. I've done I didn't write some publication, but I'm featured in some publications
Mhm.
writing, and the goal is to start writing for a local dietitian, one of my friend's former clients. She's got a big nutrition program slash website for her for exercise, and then one of the local magazines in town. I keep saying I'm going to start it, and I just gotta find the time to write that first article and get it rocking. So
Yeah, and I mean, writing it takes time. You gotta sit down, you gotta block everything out, you gotta put everything down on paper, so to speak. So yeah, it definitely takes some time to get in there and do some writing. But the fact that you've, co-authored some stuff and, been featured in publications, I mean, that's pretty cool, especially with your awards that we talked about a little bit earlier. So it's like you're doing the right things. You're trying to get the information out there to help people become a better version of themselves, essentially.
yeah, exactly. And it's like all avenues for that. And the books are, it's not a yeah, there were bestsellers and whatnot, but like you're not gonna be rich off that unless you become a New York
Right.
Times bestseller and you're a John Grisham, or, some of those guys who just,
Exactly. Some of the
have
big books.
yeah, they have
Yeah.
42 books in their mind. And my thing was more or less just let's be the authority figure in town. Like, what other personal trainers in town are writing books? Zero. They're all worried about, TikTok videos and
Yeah,
showing their
exactly.
workouts on Instagram. I'm not that guy. I've got more information to tell and to give. And if I can give, and give, then it's going to reciprocate. And those people are going to say, hey, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. I'm going to go train with him as opposed to somewhere down the street. So that's kind of where the book stuff came from and why it's good. It's also more of it's kind of a business card as well.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. If we're out and about and I have a couple in my truck and it just comes up in conversation, I give one to you. You can read it or you cannot read it. Either one, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
also do it. We also do it as far as like kind of a thank you. Thanks for coming in. It's your first day. For our athletes, I give them the Athletic Advantage book. That's one that I wrote, and it's kind of my story of how I got started in health and fitness. But it's also got 10 chapters of 10 different athletes that I worked with, and then kind of their things that they maybe overcome adversity, overcame some lack of motivation to go to college and play sports. That's kind of what we do. With that, I sign it and take a picture with the kids, and they think that's awesome. They think they're like, "Oh my gosh, you wrote a book," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
read it. I want a book report in 6 days."
Yeah, exactly. And then I want you to go on Amazon and review it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
so
yeah, that's awesome though, because I've actually been interviewing a lot of authors lately, and just to the amount of all that I have for you, it doesn't matter what the topic is, but to put things down and actually get a book published, that's huge to me. Just the idea of it, because I've got thoughts in my brain, but the thought of writing it down and actually doing it kind of scares me a little bit.
yeah, I think once you do one, the other ones become a little bit easier.
Just kind of flows through you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The first book took me like 2 years, and the others took me like 3 months.
Yeah, that's
You know,
crazy, and that's what I've
a
heard
lot
from a
easier.
lot of authors too. They say that first one's usually the biggest struggle, and then once you get through that and start working on other ones, it comes a lot easier. So it's kind of cool
Yeah,
to hear that I still hear that. And then the books that you're writing, are they the topics mostly on fitness and training, those types of things?
yeah, most of them are. So the athletic one is just more or less of like insight on, you can be the best version of yourself. You can also, you can be the worst version and still, find that motivation intrinsically or extrinsically to fight your way through and become a college athlete. There's two of them are on like kind of like health behavior or
Oh yeah,
healthy habits for a healthier life. There's another one. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of them on there, so remembering all of them is kind of difficult for me. But
yeah,
one's
right,
called the mental rep method. Mental rep method, I think, is the name of the one. It's more of like just the mental aspect of how you can kind of train the brain to be better than you actually are. So it's more of a mental coaching guide per se, super basic for that. And then off screen here, that's my latest. You see that it's kind of reversed,
yeah.
but Active
Active
and
and
Ageless.
ageless. I like that.
Yeah, it's a cool guide for it's a fitness improvement plan for 40 and over. I know those people look like they're probably 70, but
I bet they
it's
look
a
in better shape than I am. No,
yeah, they look like they haven't sweated in a day's workout.
Exactly.
But it's more or less of like it's an outline. So the goal of the books is like it's not to be overcomplicated. Like you really just need something like to say, oh, that's cool. That's I haven't really thought about that. So it's maybe taking one or two things from that and implementing it into your routine. It's not rocket science for like
Yeah.
what I wrote. There's no like you have to go and find all these articles and see if I'm telling the truth or not. It's just simple text and things that I've learned over the years, and it's right there. So you might take one or two things and read it. So the big thing with the two that we co-wrote, it's not one that you have to read chapter by chapter. You can literally flip through and find out what piques your interest and disregard the rest. So
That's pretty cool.
it's not an
Yeah.
ever like flowing book. So you can see other fitness pros from the UK, all over the world in that one book, and one of them just locally, kind of in the U.S. for that. So, I mean, the goal is to have a couple more, but I was trying to gear it towards more of my kids. My kids are 8 and 6, so just trying to
Mhm.
find maybe more of a superhero type theme book around health and fitness to have it fun. So maybe their friends would want to read
That
it,
would be
or just nothing like real crazy and over the top. Just something fun, using their names as superheroes and just having it more of a fitness adventure type thing
yeah.
for that. Something kind of outside the box.
Yeah, and I'm sure your kids would love that.
Oh yeah, there'll be well, yeah, funny you say that because they would love it because the other day, and this is kind of off subject, but my son, my youngest, looked at me and said, "Dad, our family's famous," and I said, "Really? How so?" He goes, "I don't know, Dad. I just know that we're famous, and that's all that really matters." The only the only way saying that is because I've written books, and every time I write one, I say, "Look what's in the mail. Dad
Yeah,
got a new book," and I was on the news, and I've been on YouTube videos with things like that and other things. So that's where I'm just gonna take that and run with it because I am famous.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I would say I'm local famous, and that's all that really matters.
And really it is, and I mean, the fact of everything that you've accomplished, and you're not even 40 yet, is pretty
Yeah,
amazing. You know, if you think about it, you got your own business, you've written books, you've helped train people, you've helped take athletes to the next level, you've helped old farts like myself,
yeah.
you know, get in better shape. So I mean, and all that before the time you're 40, that's pretty impressive, Aaron.
Yeah, man. I said we're making moves in the low community. It's one of those things I didn't really think were really possible. You have this thought of like, hey, I want to have a gym, but then once you really have a gym, there's a lot more things that are involved with it. So
Yeah.
there's the good, bad, and the ugly, and there's probably another podcast for all the mistakes I've made. But it's also you get knocked down, you kind of climb back to the top, and that's all you really can do. There's no quit, right?
Yeah, and so you when you started your gym, you probably didn't think that you would have as much of an impact on the community as you have, right? I mean,
No,
I have to
yeah,
assume because I'd be the same way. You don't think, you're like, okay, I'm going to help people and this and that. But when you open a business in a community, you actually become a pillar of that community.
Yeah, and that's kind of a I don't wanna say a fun recognition, or they just you're making more of an impact than you realize until people come in and say, "Hey, man, I really appreciate this. Like, you've changed my life. You're the best trainer I've ever had." And maybe that's true. Maybe I've just spoken a little bit more life into them as far as like what they're capable of doing. But it's also like thank you is all you can really say. There's really nothing else you can say.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same thing. I used to be. I was a police officer for 13 years. And people would come up and say, "Thank you for your service." And it's one of those, odd things. And I've got friends that are in the military too. That when people tell them that, they're like, "I don't know what to say." Like, you're
Yeah.
welcome. I mean, I guess that's all you can say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And it's great to see that not only, you open a business obviously for yourself, but you're getting, it seems like so much more rewarding relationships than you probably thought you would have gotten, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot more over the years, just meeting some of the, I don't say top, um, I don't say top people, but maybe more of an influential people in the
Yeah.
community. Getting to know them, and sometimes that puts me on, big podcasts like this, with a lot of followers and things like that. Getting my kind of message out to them. It could come of something, maybe not today or maybe not tomorrow, but in the future for that. But just also getting introduced to other people that probably never had an opportunity to
Yeah.
working at like maybe a big box gym, or whatever, not working for myself, because it's really you've got to build relationships. I'm a people person for the most part. I can talk to anybody, but also just sharing how I can help them, and not really I'm not really asking for the purchase. I just want to say, hey, I'm here to help. If you need my help,
Yep.
come on down. But if not, no worries.
Exactly.
I'm here when you need me, right?
And that's the way to do it. It's like, you know what? I'm here whenever you need me. I'll be here. I'll continue to be here. But, if you don't need me right now, hey, okay, that's fine. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no harm, no foul, right?
Exactly. Of course, we want them to come to the gym, right, and come and work with you or your partners. But again, I like that you. It's not that gosh, what was there was I think it was Gold's Gym back in the day. They used to be like you go in and say, hey, I want to work out, and they just hammer you to join. You got to
Yeah.
join. You got to do this. You got to do that, and it's like you're doing something where you're like, hey, this is what I can offer you, but it's your choice. You could take it, come with us, or not, or I'll see you later, right? Because you'll probably go somewhere else and then realize, all right, I'm just going to go see Aaron.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Sometimes it's not a no, it's just a no right now. I said,
Exactly.
if you change your mind, come on back. I'm here for you. If it's not for you now, then it could be down the road. So just know that we're still here.
Yeah, that's awesome because there's so much pressure. I mean, think about, wanting to get in better shape. There's that pressure of that doing, going into new exercises and maybe trying something new that you haven't done before. But then to go in and not have the pressure to be like, oh, you got to join, you got to join, you got to join.
Yeah.
That's got to be relaxing to some of your clients because I know some people just hammer that sales pitch home and you're like, no, this is what I can offer you. And if you want it, great.
Yeah, that's what we try to establish. And so my pitch to them is like, I know I'm not the cheapest, but I guarantee you I'm the best. And if I can help you in any way, I'm going to. Kind of going back to my performance guarantee. I was like, look, you can try it for a month, and if you don't like it, that's okay. I'll give your money back, and then I'll find you a gym to go train at. That's okay. Like, you're not my feelings are gonna be hurt because
Yeah.
we're not for everybody, and I don't want to take your money just to take your money.
Yeah, and that's fantastic though, because you're still providing them with an option to say, "Hey, give me a try. If you don't like it, I'll help you find another place to go." And I've never heard any trainer say that. Usually it's like, "No,
Yeah.
you got to go to my place."
Yeah, and it's always, you've got to look out for the best interest of the person coming to you because it could be they're just not a good fit. And it's not because, they're not gonna put the effort. They just don't fit the community that we built
Yeah,
for that. They may be a curmudgeon and not have a good personality. That can,
that could be
that could
tough.
that could be tough. That could really, bring down the energy as far as other people in the gym, and they could leave, and then you're kind of having to recycle back through. So that's,
Yep.
we like to, not really present that as like, but sometimes just like, hey, it's just not going to work out. That's okay.
Yep.
You know, we'll
No,
we'll
I,
help you
I
move on.
I love that. That's honesty in business, essentially. And you don't get that too often in any type of business. So, you get a client and you want to keep them, but on your hand, you want the right client, that's not only going to be right for themselves, but for you as well. It's a nice balancing act.
Yeah, and sometimes we get some bad eggs, but that's okay. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you find that out, later on down the road, and that's okay.
Yep.
We just, you
Just
know,
adapt and overcome, right?
yeah. Well, we've never fired a client, but we just hope and pray that they don't come back, and that's okay.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
not being rude. That's just
No, no,
part of
no.
business.
It
Yeah,
is. It is part of business because there are, I know in the business that I do, I work in IT. We've got some, people that we work with that I'm just like, I wouldn't mind if they didn't come back.
yeah,
But of course we're going to serve them as best we can while we can. So,
yeah. Exactly, exactly. And that's all
yep,
you can do, right?
exactly. And Aaron, looking into the future, where do you see fitness evolving or how do you see it evolving in the future? Do you have any views on that?
I think a lot of it's gonna probably, and this is just kind of, I don't say maybe way off in the left field with it, but I think it's going to be more geared towards kind of what we're already doing, the small group training, but also focusing more on the longevity piece as opposed to the let's crush you each and every workout.
Yeah.
For that, maybe it's more of a kind of a mix of like strength training, mobility, flexibility stuff that we're currently already doing. I don't think that the kind of I don't say large group stuff as far as training wise. There's people that still do it and do it well, but it's just not gonna last. People are wanting more of a safer, more effective environment, injury free type thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Maybe that's just because of what I all see, and I like to just gauge people's interest when they come into our facility, what they've done, what they don't like, and things like that. You're still gonna have the kind of I don't say higher level boutique type, like the Lifetimes and maybe the kind of big corporate things that people love. That's for a lot of people. I think that's more of a status quo thing. Hey, look at
Yeah.
me. I've got this membership and I've got all these amenities. I don't really see that. I don't say lasting a long time, but maybe it will for a certain population of certain, areas of the country for as that goes. But I really think the small group training, working out with 5 to 6 people at one time, individualized personal training is kind of the way it's going to go. And it may say like AI and technology is going to take our jobs. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
I'm sorry,
I've
but
done,
a
yeah,
computer's not gonna sit there and motivate me to do work.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the biggest piece of that what's going to change as far as health and fitness is there's going to be more, and we do this a lot with our clientele. Is just more somehow getting, and it may be paying a little extra for it, but more accountability. I mean, life's busy and things get tough and people fall off the wagon. But if you don't care about them missing sessions or checking in on them frequently, then they're just going to fall off anyway. So it's
Yep.
just more or less of like the accountability piece, man. I could care less if you hit your goal. I say that I could care less if you don't hit every single goal that you've set to accomplish with us. But if I can hold you accountable and you show up each and every day and you're a long lasting client, like some of mine for 12 to 13 years,
Mhm.
that speaks a lot, man. You're committed, you're consistent. Whether you miss a week or two, you're going to come back for that. And I think the accountability piece is going to be a major push for a lot of people. Maybe not. Maybe people just don't care. They only want you for 3 months and then see you later. But I think that's going to be what can we do to show more added value to our clientele and how we can get them to stay consistent longer. I think that's going to be a big piece of it as well.
Yeah, and I think that accountability part, I know for someone like myself, that's huge. Well, number one, being able to work out with other people is good. But you're right. I don't want to go into a classroom with 50 people, and doing workouts. But a few
Yeah.
people, yeah, because you feed off of each other and you really grow, even though you might be doing different things, it really kind of pushes you to do more, when you're in a group atmosphere. And then having
Yeah.
that one-on-one training, I mean, that's something that I think anybody really would want, more personalized attention, more personalized programs to help me meet the goals that I need to meet, as opposed to just a general overall program. And yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what I've seen. A lot of those smaller classes and, or class sizes with the group classes and then the one-on-one attention. That's really, I think, what people are looking for nowadays.
Yeah. It's more and more. I mean, I think I'm probably way ahead of the curve as far as like what we've done. And I also think it's going to be a lot of it's going to be geared to what we're already doing, the 50 and older population. That's kind of one of
Yeah,
those, they're aging faster, things get harder, getting up and down off the floor. Grip strength. I mean, how many times have you had your parents ask you to open a jar of pickles or something like that? Or
exactly.
that right there, we're already one step ahead. So once people start to, I've already kind of seen it in our community, people, other gyms marketing towards the 40 and older, the whatever. Guys, we've already been there, done that. Like
Yeah,
you're late to the game for
totally
that.
late.
And that's okay. But like I said before, we're not for everybody either, but we're
Yeah.
also not super flashy, but we're way ahead and we can stay ahead, then we're gonna be at the top anyway.
Yeah, you know what? And the flashy stuff, that's just extra crap. Pardon my language.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
prefer to
I
go
agree.
into a place that just looks like a gym, has the equipment that I need to do what I got to do and focus on it. I don't care if
Yeah.
there's LED lights flashing to the
Yeah.
music or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm just there to get in shape.
Yeah. You're like, is this a gym or is this a disco
Yeah,
party or is this
exactly. What is
is
this, a
that a
rave? Yeah, what are we doing?
yeah,
That's
we
funny.
like yeah, we cater speaking of the rave, we cater the music I like to cater based on the energy in the gym. So if it's like, "Oh, man, it's just a Friday," maybe the people suck who are in there. And I
Yeah.
say the people suck, it's not the people, it's the attitude
Right.
of
Yeah,
what's going
it's
on. But then it's like, "All right, can we change the little mood a little bit? Let's put some disco on, maybe it's some
yeah,
rock music,
right.
maybe some pop, but let's feed off the people who are in there and let's get this place bumping."
Absolutely. And that makes for a better experience too when they're in there training with you. And that comes into the fun part, right? Have some good music, just get the vibe going.
Yeah, I mean, if clients are singing and dancing, I mean, that's part of it too, man. You gotta, exercise is not always fun, but you can make it fun. They're gonna come
Yep.
back for more.
Absolutely. Because I know, like, for myself, I hate exercising, but if I can find a fun way to do it, It makes it that much better, because then you don't think that it's exercise. You're like, "Oh, this is fun."
But yeah, and you're not watching the time either, right?
Right.
We have some clock watchers. I don't have a clock in the gym anymore because people would
Yeah,
watch
just,
the
"Is
clock.
my hour up? Is my hour up?" Right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, all right, you're done. They're like, oh, that was quick. That was
Yeah,
fast. That was like the fastest hour of the day. I'm like, you know, I said because we took your mind off everything, and now we're having fun. So
exactly.
we'll see you tomorrow.
And that's something I don't think people, not everybody realizes either how having being in good physical shape also helps you mentally as well.
For sure, for sure.
And I think people just think, "Oh, I gotta be in good shape for being in good shape." But I mean, when you're training all the time, you'll sleep better, right?
It's more. You got mental clarity. You're sleeping better.
Exactly.
You're feeling
Exactly. You
better.
sleep
You're
better,
not as
feeling better, maybe a more positive uptake on, your views because, you've got more endorphins going in the brain and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely extremely important regardless of what age you are that you have a good physical shape, and then, that also helps your mental shape as well.
yeah. It's my kind of all encompassing, right?
Yep. Exactly. You can't, I was gonna say you can do one without but it really does help. And that comes from me from, prior law enforcement that whenever, getting stressed and things like that, a good workout really helps take away that stress.
Yeah, I agree
You know?
100%.
So now, Aaron, for you, any new projects or expansions for your business coming up?
I have a list of projects. I just never get to them because I feel like I'm always getting other things. But I think the books are kind of on there. We're looking to expand, maybe add a few more trainers for that to kind of be more of a centerpiece for maybe some more sports performance team training, going into facilities and training teams of that sort.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, and the other aspect for me is just more like how much more can I grow the brand of Premier Performance Training? I've always been the face of it, hence my logo looks just like me. It is me, but how can I get more involved in the community to bring more people to Premier Performance Training without me having to be the only guy and the only
Yeah.
person that people want to work with? So it's like taking a step back maybe a little bit, run the business not from afar but just running the business and having other trainers really dive deep into it and just know that Premier Performance Training will always be there and always be running smoothly whether I'm in the facility or not.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And, as a business owner, you really do have to trust the folks that work for you, but it's easier said than done when you've built a business from the ground up on your own, you know?
Yeah, it's a little
And
bit easier now. I mean, I just started year 9, probably year 4. It was like I don't want to hire anybody because I don't want to give any money away, but now it's like just take it. I've got it. i'm
exactly.
gonna i'm gonna leave early and it'll work out.
Yep, exactly. And that's great though when you have people that, are doing a great job and working for you and you got to have a level of trust to just say, "No, go right ahead." Because if you didn't trust them, I'm sure you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and you can't. I've had helicopter bosses, and I just don't want to do that because one, they don't feel secure, they don't have the trust, and then they also are always walking around on pins and needles, not really sure if they know what they're doing, and so
Yep,
it's always like a cat and mouse game, right? You're always like chasing them, and they're coming back, and I always like to say if there's going to be an issue, my clients are going to call me and tell me about it. You,
right.
the trainer may not, but the clients, they know how
Oh
I
yeah,
run
they'll
things, and in
especially if
my
they're dishing out money, they're going to let you know if they don't like something.
Yeah, and they have before, and we've corrected it, and that's okay. That's a learning experience for the trainer, but also, the clients as well. Just, it's not always going to be exactly how I want it to be, but it'll be at least 90%.
Yeah, and I mean that's really what you're looking for, right? You want to do you want it to be the rule, not the exception that you're catering towards.
Yeah, and we've
Yeah,
had our fair share of, I'll say, issues, but it's also like, all right, how can we talk this through? How
right.
can we find a solution? And if we find a solution, great. If not, we'll have to, you know, do something different.
Exactly. Any goals or for you personally or your professional growth?
I have a huge financial goal as far as like gym growth. It's a little crazy, but my goal this year was to hit $500,000 in revenue.
Well, that's a lot. Yeah, that's tough to do.
Yeah, I'm a good ways away from it, but if it doesn't happen, or I'll say when it happens, it'll be great. If it doesn't
Yeah,
happen, that's okay. But I like to shoot for the stars because I don't like to be mediocre and be the same as I was the year before.
exactly.
Take more time off. That's always a good goal. I think we have 1, 2, 3. I've already got another trip scheduled for the first of next year. So,
Nice.
um, taking the time off and make sure that things are running smoothly, but also giving my, trainers time off as well.
Yeah.
There's really no like I don't have a second location. I've got to hit certain metrics and goals for myself of as far as maxing out. I mean, max capacity gym wise is like 100 to 115 clients. I'm about 40 away. 30 to the
Yeah.
40, give or
Yeah.
take, depends on the.
So you still got a
Yeah,
little room left to grow there, but
yeah,
yeah.
not much, but a little bit for that. And then if it calls for a second location, great. But
Yeah.
I
That'd
don't
be
know
a
if
nice problem to have, right?
it would be, but it's like you get two steps forward and then take a couple steps back. But that's just the ebbs and flows of fitness and gym business as well. As far as that goes, I mean, I'd like to maybe partner on some projects with some other folks in town if that ever presents itself. Maybe starting my own podcast, that would be something fun. I've been
Yeah.
asked a lot, but I always just
And from a
say,
fitness standpoint, I think that would be great for you because you've got the background, you've got the education, you've done the work. You can actually bring people on and talk with them about really, well, it doesn't have to be about fitness, but you could talk to them about fitness you could have your own fitness podcast for sure.
yeah, it's something fun. It also just, I mean, I can talk about anything. I mean, we've been talking for how long? An hour and a half almost.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have we? I didn't even notice that,
I
but
would say, cut me off, but it's just a little bit of everything from
yeah.
fitness to writing books to like just past experiences, like what you've learned and not learned. So, you never know what the future holds. Is just I hope that people still like coming to Premier Performance Training and they tell their friends about it. That's the biggest thing.
And Aaron, is there anything else you want the audience to know?
I would say that the biggest thing I'll leave them with this thing is like, fitness always starts by opening the door at the gym. You've probably seen the motto, the heaviest thing you'll ever lift in the gym is going to be the front door, but that's
Yep.
really true. It's the most intimidating factor of walking into somewhere you've never been before and talking to somebody who you're going to put your money, you're going to give your money to and trust them. So building that trust with somebody is even, I think, sometimes harder.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about starting a fitness routine, do your research, find somebody who you think you can trust and give it a shot, give it 30, 60, 90 days. And then if it's not a good fit, it's okay. Hopefully you haven't washed your money down the drain, but you
Right.
also should get
Hopefully you
something
got
out of it.
something out of it. You're
Yeah,
right.
something out of it, something to learn from it. So, if you're gonna start now. Don't wait till tomorrow and don't wait till next year because next year is a year past and you may have some health concerns or issues because of that because you waited.
Exactly.
You don't want to have a medical emergency or a medical event happen to help you or want you to start. You've got to, physically, mentally, emotionally be ready to, and just take that next step, whether it's walking, light exercise, yoga, Pilates, jazzercise. I don't care. It's just, you got to
Just
stay
get
active.
moving. Yeah,
Just
get
get
moving.
moving because once you get the ball rolling, things become a lot easier.
Exactly. And I've learned that myself, in the past I've worked with a personal trainer and you have to get out there and do the work and you've got to be the one to do it and you got to listen and it's really the biggest step is you as an individual or me as an individual making that first step to make sure that I'm going there because and you're absolutely right. Don't say, "Oh, I'll do it next year or whatever," because guess what? Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yep,
You
you're
know,
exactly right.
you're living right now, so now's the best time. Get out there, get yourself in shape, and go see Aaron at Premier Performance Training because he'll get you in shape for sure. And Aaron,
Yeah.
how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to, either check out your business or schedule an appointment to meet with you? What's the best way for our listeners to get a hold of you at Premier Performance Training?
Yeah, so I mean, we do in person, live and in person in our facility, but we also do online training and programming as well. So you kind of have two options there, but you can go to premierperformancetrainer.com to find out our services and what we have to offer on social media. On Instagram, it's at Premier Performance TN for Tennessee.
Hmm.
You can go follow us and see all the goofy videos I do and the fun stuff that we have going on. X and Facebook, it's just on Facebook, it's Aaron Hines. You can follow me there or Aaron Hines / Premier Performance Training for that. And we're in Brentwood, Tennessee. So we're kind of all over the socials. We're on TikTok as well. So a lot of things we share kind of cross posted as far as that goes. But, feel free to reach out if you got questions, concerns, or maybe you had an idea or you just need some confirmation on if you're doing the right thing. Just shoot us a message.
Yeah, thank you for that, Aaron. And for our listeners that if you go to justadudepodcast.com, Aaron is going to have a guest page there. So all his links will be there as well. Thanks for tuning in to Just a Dude podcast, where we celebrate the lives of everyday heroes like Aaron Hines. It's been an absolute pleasure to dive into the world of fitness, family, and transformation with you today. Remember, whether you're lifting weights or lifting spirits, every step towards a healthier you is a step in the right direction. If you enjoyed today's chat, make sure to follow us for more episodes where we explore what's truly important to us. You can find Aaron at Premier Performance Training in Brentwood, Tennessee, or connect with him on social media. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and stay just a dude or a dudette. This is Nathan signing off, and I'll catch you later.